Empire. She is in chaos. And now, at the turning of the era, the Ruby Throne sits empty. The enemy have arrived. We have to act quickly, take up arms, and close shut the marble jaws of oblivion. Find my son. He alone can determine the fate of the Empire. The fate of Cyrodiil.
If you're here to rob me, I'm afraid I have nothing left. Please, I implore you, help me avenge my wife's death. Barely a week ago, I left Harm's Folly to go buy supplies as I usually do once a month. What a fool I was to leave my wife alone. The goblins must have been watching me, as they knew right when to strike. I could hear Kayleen's screams from far away. Those wretched beasts killed her. Filthy animals. Had I only been there to stop them. I'll tell you how you can help. Kill those things, every last one of them. They destroyed everything I hold dear. In their greed, the creatures grabbed a jade amulet off of Kayleen's body. Bring me back that amulet so I may use it to remember her by. Exhausted Mine is not far to the southeast. Be careful. Its many twists and turns hide the goblin hordes. Do I drop the sweet roll or hand it over and come back later? Dunno.
Yes, sir, man. It's the kid Dizzy McFly, man, covering the Xbox Developers event today. Finally getting a new Elder Scrolls. I'm excited for this. Damn, you gotta wait so long, 2025. It's a long time to wait. Hey, I'm here for it. Looks good, looks real good.
What news do you bring me from exhausted mine? Then it's finally done. The goblins have paid with their blood, and my wife's brutal slaying is avenged. You risked life and limb for a cause that wasn't your own. For that I'm grateful. Please, accept these gems as a token of my gratitude. They're all I have left of value, but you must have them. I insist. You will be included in my prayers forever. May the divines smile upon you. You are always welcome at Harm's Folly.
Last question, Dr. Dallin. Are you sure the perimeter surrounding the zone is really enough? If a powerful emission were to occur, we would...
Listen, the zone has remained stable for years. Besides, we didn't establish the most advanced institution in human history without first guaranteeing its safety. As the head of the Scientific Institute for Research of the Chernobyl area, or CERCA for short, I believe the wonders that we will bring to the world far outweigh the potential risks.
How big are these risks exactly?
The zone reveals a whole new world. We can stick with the old one, fearing change. But tell me, do you want our descendants to remember us as cowards? Or as those who dared to venture forward to a new, better humanity?
The injured were evacuated. I remind our listeners that a similar incident happened in our region quite recently, ruining homes and livelihoods. However, city officials urge people to stay calm, assuring them the situation is totally under control.
After years of work, a group of scientists managed to tap into the noosphere, the Earth's informational field. An achievement comparable at best to the conquest of space.
Don't want the innocent to suffer? Then help me find the culprit.
And who the fuck are you?
And what do we have a decade later? The Zone, in our image, after our likeness.
My men are still lying out there, and I can't even bury them.
Died in an anomaly. Shot by loners. Found with a stone around his neck. Thrown off a cliff. Torn apart by dogs. You cannot kill God. Just like you cannot get rid of the sky up above. I am blind, but it is you who cannot see.
Okay, in case you missed it, Bethesda announced today that Starfield and Redfall have been delayed to the first half of 2023. not great news. I'm Brian Altano. This is Ryan McCaffrey. Let's break down what this means for this year and for next year for Xbox. How you doing, McCaffrey?
I'm good, man. The Brian and Ryan show. It has been way too long since you and I sat down. Sadly, it's over bad news, but there is some good to be taken out of this, at least.
That's true. That's true. Now, obviously, they had originally committed to the 11/11/22 date. I love that. It was catchy. That's not happening. So that was part of the whole sort of big Bethesda buyout. We saw Starfield was probably one of the most anticipated games of the year, one of the biggest games of the year, definitely one of the most ambitious games of the year. Fallout in space, as the shorthand goes for it. But not surprising that it's getting moved like almost every giant game has during this pandemic era of gaming. So I'm sort of stumped as to what this means exactly right now for Xbox, because we know that big things are coming, and we'll get to that in a second. But I think right now, in the short term for 2022, it does put them in a very unique spot in not having any sort of significant big first-party games to have for their both of their consoles, which are by all means very successful otherwise.
Yeah, highest revenue console platform of Q1 2021. They've got a lot of momentum on the hardware side. On the platform side, of course, Game Pass continues to get bigger and bigger. But you're right. Like, for all the momentum that they had from last year with Halo, with Forza Horizon, with Psychonauts 2, with a number of other third-party exclusives as well, things were really looking up. And unfortunately, just the way the development cookie crumbles, 2022 is suddenly looking pretty bleak as far as Xbox exclusives goes. So what we've had so far, because Sony's had a tremendous year already, and that's we don't even have God of War Ragnarok yet, so they got that to look forward to on the PlayStation side. But on Xbox, we had Crossfire X, which was a disappointment. We had the best game of the year so far for Xbox exclusive-wise, the game behind me, Tunic, which I reviewed, gave a 9. No regrets. The game's amazing. Brian Altano, it is definitely a Brian Altano kind of game. If you haven't played it yet, you've got to play it.
Playing it on Xbox and restarted it on Steam Deck too. Yeah, it's fun.
Nice. Oh yeah, good Steam Deck game too. Shredders, a snowboarding game. So that's an exclusive most people probably weren't even aware of. That was definitely a smaller time game. And then there is one we should be able to mark like in pen, not in pencil. And that's Deathloop, which we already know is a 10 out of 10 video game. The 1-year exclusivity on PlayStation will expire in September of this year, so presumably we will get that. I don't know if they'll be able to talk about it at the showcase next month, the Xbox showcase, because who knows what the terms of that deal are with Sony, but we should be seeing that this fall, I think, on Xbox.
Which puts that one next to the sort of like interesting category with Ghostwire being on PS5 and Xbox having a part of that too. Part of that, those 1-year exclusivity deals as well. So yeah, that's it's that is part of the conversation. It is a small part, but it is in there.
And then the rest of 2022 for now. Now, Altano, recognize that the showcase in 1 month from today, June 12th, it's May 12th as we shoot this, I'm sure we'll get some 2022 release dates. And I'm going to talk about a couple that I think are somewhat likely, but here's what's currently on the schedule. Only one of the games I'm about to list for you has an actual specific day that's on the calendar, and that is Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. That is a third-party Xbox exclusive scheduled for September 13th of this year. Also on the calendar, again, all third-party stuff at the moment, Scorn, which is the long-delayed, just first-person disgusting horror game, very H.R. Geiger-esque, that looks like it'll be pretty good. That's scheduled for October, but no date yet. And then games without even any months, but they're just still for now, 2022. Some really cool stuff here. Somerville, which is from the ex-Limbo and Inside developers. That game looks phenomenal. And then you've got Replaced, another indie exclusive, but that was a big standout from the showcase last year at E3 2021. That's that side-scrolling pixel art steampunk game that looked fantastic. That grabbed a lot of attention last year. That is, as far as we know, penciled in for 2022 on Xbox. And then another one, which I have major doubts about because we've heard literally zero about it since its announcement. The announcement did millions of views on IGN. That was Ark 2. You remember that was the trailer. That's the Ark sequel that had Vin Diesel in the trailer. So
my brain had completely forgotten about that until you reminded me of it this morning, by the way.
Well, me too. I had to do my research, and I was like, oh yeah, that was okay. That's still 2022. Yeah, probably not. But unless, who knows? Maybe we'll get a pleasant surprise at the Xbox showcase for that one. And then Halo Infinite's already out, but we'll have season 3 of that game for the multiplayer, free-to-play multiplayer, starting in November. So that's, that'll be new maps, new modes, some stuff to look forward to there. So that's it, Brian. We can talk about some maybes on the first party side for 2022.
Well, that's the thing. What's interesting about Xbox right now is that they do own a ton of studios. They do have a bunch of irons in the fire, as they say, but it does feel like a bunch of them got moved for this year, and that's just sort of bad coincidence. It could be just an overall perfect storm happening here. But yeah, there are some question marks of stuff that we know is in the works, but I would be surprised if some of these games came out this year, but who knows? They're worth mentioning, right? So there's Hellblade 2.
Yeah, that, because we've seen that a couple times. We got a 6-minute gameplay trailer for that at the Game Awards back in December, so 6 months ago now. And that one we know is Unreal Engine 5, and Unreal Engine 5 is finished and shipped to developers. So I feel like of the first-party titles that are in the hopper for Microsoft, Hellblade 2 has at least maybe a 50-50, a coin flips chance of coming out this year. And maybe that's the plan, right? Maybe, because of course Microsoft knows these games could all delay, including Starfield. Todd Howard, sadly, unsuccessful in calling his shot, Babe Ruth style, last year, saying 11/11/22. But that's all right. I mean, we want Starfield to be the best game it can be. I'll wait as long as it takes.
Agreed.
So, maybe Hellblade 2.
What was it? Two or 3 weeks ago, actually, the Xbox UK account tweeted out like 200 days until Starfield. Can you believe it?
Yeah, whoops.
And and it is worth mentioning that days do take longer on other planets. So maybe that's part of it.
It's November 11th in the Starfield universe, just not on Earth.
It's like 2,000 something hours for a full day on Venus, so maybe that's where it's taking place. We've got Forza Motorsport. That's a potential. I mean, what do you think the likelihood of that launching this year is?
Again, probably a 50-50 coin flip, because that's same thing. We haven't heard about this since it was announced at the 2020 showcase. So it's 2 years since I'm sure, I would bet lunch that I would bet you a Taylor ham sandwich that we will see that at the Xbox showcase next month. Whether it A, gets a release date, and B, if it does, if that release date is this year, remains to be seen. We had Forza Horizon 5, IGN's Game of the Year for 2021 last fall. We know that this Forza Motorsport is a reboot of the Sim side of the franchise. It's going to be next gen only, no more Xbox One. So I think that's, it's a maybe for this year. My gut is leaning towards no, but I think there's an outside chance that could land this fall.
We've also got the Indiana Jones game from Machine Games, which we got a brief glimpse of. It was kind of that overhead death shot of the map and stuff like that. My gut on this one is that this will get timed closer to the movie release, whenever that is happening. That new Indiana Jones 5 or whatever feels like that's been being worked on for ages now. But never say never. I do hope we see something about that in the showcase, because I don't know, it just sounds awesome. I love Indiana Jones. And then there's that kind of rumored GoldenEye remaster that who knows, that one, that's the game that at least 14 different intellectual property holders were involved with at some point. That's a whole rat's nest. Now, one thing that I have been thinking about a little bit today is that Xbox does have a ton of money, and they theoretically freed up a bunch of marketing dollars this fall. So could they potentially throw some money at a third-party game to do a Outriders-style day-and-date launch on Game Pass this fall? But digging around, this fall isn't that crazy for anyone, really. You know, like we mentioned God of War before, which I cannot wait for. Game still does not have a release date. Breath of the Wild 2 got moved to next year. There is a Call of Duty this year, although that is theoretically taking a year off at some point next year, I believe.
Yeah, the Treyarch game next time, yeah.
Yep. So in terms of big games this fall, we've got Gotham Knights, which we got a sort of 13-minute extended demo of this week.
October 25th for that one, I believe.
We've got Saints Row in, I believe, late August. So not exactly a fall game, but not really like a ton of really big things that they could be like, here's some money, launch it on Game Pass along with everything else, right? So I don't have the numbers off the top of my head on how well that sort of deal works historically for third-party publishers going on to Game Pass day and date as the other platforms. But it seems like people, you know, studios aren't necessarily against it or apprehensive to it, and some are even embracing it. So that's a chance. I mean, what do you see happening there?
I mean, I think you nailed the major candidates. What few there are so far.
Yeah.
I mean, Saints Row, I mean, I don't think that moves the needle, with all due respect to Saints Row, which is a series that I've enjoyed for many years. I think Saints Row, I'm in the Saints Row 3 is the best Saints Row camp. I know I'm going to get some commenters that are going to say Saints Row 2. Much love to you guys. They're both excellent choices, but
3's my favorite too.
This new Saints Row reboot's not doing anything for me so far. We'll see how that goes, but I do think Gotham Knights would move the needle. That's a significant game. You know, that's a game, we were talking about it on Next Gen Console Watch this week, the one that hasn't aired yet. It will air after this records, but oh well. That one, you know, they had their old gen versions canceled. PS4 and Xbox One canceled.
Right.
That could be something where Microsoft might want to throw a few bags of cash at WB and say, hey, let's get this on Game Pass, and then let's use the cloud technology that we've been building to stream it to Xbox One users so they can play the game, which is something that we saw Microsoft do with Microsoft Flight Simulator last year.
Right.
A next-gen only game that you can play on your Xbox One with your Game Pass Ultimate subscription through the cloud streaming there. So, you know, that's a possibility. But yeah, I mean, 2022, the showcase is going to have to bring something, and I think it will. That's the bad news. But the good news, Brian, is that 2023 is going to be insane. Like, as bleak as 2022 is looking at the moment for Xbox, 2023 could, I mean, I know we throw around best year ever a lot, which is good. Like, that means because we're excited, but seriously, 2023, Brian.
I agree, and like I will point out that, you know, there have been a lot of years over the last decade where it feels like Xbox is like, okay, so not this year, but next year is going to be the big one. And
the Chicago Cubs of the video game industry.
Yeah,
like the Chicago Cubs did eventually win the World Series.
They did. It took a long time, but they did. They lifted the curse. I went to art school with a lot of people that would they wouldn't put a lot of art up on the wall for critique, but they'd be like, I got this painting at home I'm working on. I swear to God, it's amazing. Just believe me. And eventually, you know, they'd have to show them proof or they wouldn't pass the class. So that's just the reality of things, you know. But it is worth mentioning. I do feel that next year, and I agree with you, I do feel that next year is going to be big, not just for Xbox, I think for a lot of companies, but I think Xbox specifically has a lot of really cool stuff that they're working on that didn't make it this year, didn't make it last year. And so let's speed run through why 2023 is something to look forward to after this year has definitely not been great for them.
Yeah, the rapid fire version of this, but just let this sink in. Like, you're going to hear these really fast, but think about if all, or even realistically, like 2/3 of these come out, next year is going to be bonkers. And everything you're about to hear will come to Game Pass on day one. Let that sink in as well. Starfield, Redfall, Ghostwire Tokyo coming off of its 1-year PlayStation exclusivity. That deal should expire in March of 2023. Avowed, huge first-person RPG, very exciting from Obsidian. The Fable reboot from Playground, Gears of War 6, State of Decay 3, Everwild from Rare. You look at the calendar, id Software's next game, whatever it is.
Right.
There's some maybe speculation that it could be a Quake reboot. You look at the calendar, you know, they shipped Doom Eternal in March of 2020. So, you know, maybe fall 2023 would be 3.5 years. There's a distinct possibility there. And then one other one that leaked late last year, is a game called Pentiment, which is another Obsidian game from renowned director Josh Sawyer. It's a murder mystery game by the leaked description. That could very well be next year. So, that's a lot of bangers for 2023. Right. And then just to finish looking out on the horizon, I know, this is going to feel far away, and I guess 2 years away is still pretty far away, but 2024 onwards, Perfect Dark. And the reason I say that is because we've had reports that Perfect Dark's in a little bit of a rough place right now. So I can't imagine that game's a year, even 18 months away. So probably 2024. So Perfect Dark, The Outer Worlds 2, The Last Night. Remember that one, Brian? That's another pixel art cyberpunk game that looked incredible at E3.
That's very cool.
I've been keeping in touch with the developer there. They are working hard, and that game is going to be something else. You've got not one, but 2 Unreal Engine 5 In Exile RPGs. So again, those are out on the horizon. Double Fine's next game, that's out on the horizon after Psychonauts 2 shipped last year. We know that whatever Double Fine's doing, it's using Unreal Engine 5. Forza Horizon 6, inevitable. That's probably 2024 onwards. And of course, The Elder Scrolls 6 is somewhere out there. It's in pre-production right now. Yeah, and it will go into full production once Starfield does ship in 2023. But yeah, I mean that's off in the distance. But again, that 2023 that we just went through, and that's going to be wild. And that's to say nothing of if some of the 2022 candidates we just talked about slip into 2023, it makes 2023 even better. So next year is gonna be insane for Xbox.
I completely agree. You'll just have to hold out. This year is obviously, it's a little quiet, it's a little barren. We're just as bummed as everybody is. Like this, I wanted to play these games. Like this stinks. Just like I wanted to play Breath of the Wild and everything else that got moved. But it is what it is. It's the nature of the pandemic and a million other moving parts happening. Games are bigger than ever. But Ryan, thank you so much for helping me break this stuff down today. Folks, remember the Xbox Bethesda Showcase is on June 12th. So we will definitely see something there. They're doing a show, so they'll have something to show us. Whether or not it's stuff we'll be able to play this year, we don't know yet. But there will be games. And we will be covering every game this year. Not only the ones that release, but the ones that don't release and get delayed forever. So remember, for all things video games, you're already in the right place, and that's IGN, and thank you so much for watching.
Starfield is an upcoming space-based RPG from Bethesda Game Studios, positioned as the next big RPG to stand alongside Bethesda's well-known series like Elder Scrolls and Fallout. It will be the first game out of that studio to center around a new universe in over 25 years. Bethesda first revealed Starfield in 2018 in an extremely brief teaser trailer where they were more or less just confirming the game's existence, but fresh details finally surfaced after a new trailer was shown at E3 2021. To be honest, the game is still largely a mystery, but here's everything we know about Starfield so far. At the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcased at E3 2021, a trailer officially revealed the Starfield release date. It's scheduled to arrive on November 11th, 2022, and will be an Xbox console exclusive, launching solely on Xbox Series X, Series S, and PC. At the previously mentioned E3 2021 showcase, Bethesda showed off an in-game trailer of Starfield. It centers around an astronaut as they make their way through a ship to prepare for takeoff. After arriving in a room where they place down their gun, the trailer zooms in on a shelf labeled STO-84S with a white case marked as property of Constellation. The trailer then zooms in on an image taped to a wall. What's in the image, that looks like a blueprint, though Todd Howard claims it's not, is unclear, but as the astronaut climbs into their seat, an individual from the organization called Constellation radios in and confirms the astronaut for their departure. The narrator in the trailer says, "They say the wonder is not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we have measured it. You're part of Constellation now, part of our family. What you have found is the key to unlocking everything. This is all we've been working towards. We've come to the beginning of humanity's final journey. That's why we're here, to discover what's out there. This is obviously some heavy hinting at Starfield's story, but we currently don't have much to go on. Not much other than bits and pieces have been revealed about Starfield's mysterious protagonist and their story. We know it takes place about 300 years into the future and involves a space organization called Constellation, which feels very reminiscent of NASA. Todd Howard calls them the last group of space explorers. In a Telegraph interview, Todd Howard confirmed that while Constellation is the primary group players will be part of in Starfield, it is one of many players will encounter and can join throughout their journey. Howard called Starfield an epic and said it will ask big questions like, are we alone in the universe? Why are we here? What are the origins of space and time? And what role does religion play in all of it? Starfield gameplay hasn't been shown yet, but there are a few features that have been confirmed. The official Starfield site says you'll be able to create any character you want and explore with unparalleled freedom. In a recent interview with Launcher, Todd Howard said you'll be able to choose your character's background and revealed that customizations can affect how your character's story unfolds. Todd Howard described Starfield as Skyrim in space, and Bethesda managing director Ashley Chang called it akin to a Han Solo simulator, where you'll be able to get in a ship, explore the galaxy, and do fun stuff. In the same Telegraph interview we mentioned earlier, Todd Howard confirmed Starfield will be playable in first and third person perspective, much like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and Skyrim. We like that style of gameplay, he said. First person for us is still our prime way of playing, so you can see the world and touch all those things. Keeping in theme with previous Bethesda games, players can expect to encounter NPCs, and this will include humans, aliens, and even robots. A nod to this can be found in the E3 2021 trailer. If you look closely, you can spot a note on the blackboard to a robot named Vasco asking them to pick up some tranquility, with specific instructions not to get decaf. Todd Howard said Starfield will have a world that invites players to explore, interact, and test the boundaries of the game. We like to put you in a world where we're not dragging you by the nose and saying you must do X, Y, and Z, and that it's okay for you to want to test the game's boundaries, he explained. You know, can I read this book? Can I pick this up? Can I do this? What if I do this? And the game is saying yes a lot. We're still a year and some change from the release of Starfield, so we're guaranteed to hear and see some more as we get closer to launch. But for now, what are your theories about Starfield? Make sure to sound off in the comments below, and for everything Starfield, keep it here on IGN.
I always say that music is the fourth dimension. It is the emotional dimension. And so in order to create this, you have to ask these questions. Where are you going? You know, what's your motivation? What is your story? What is really pushing us? This is what really drove me more than anything else. These huge questions, they're as big as space.
Everything I've worked on at this studio, the music started very early on, as early as the concept art for the game from when I began here in 2005. At that time, Oblivion was already well underway, but as we went on to Fallout 3 after that, that was one of the first things I worked on music-wise was the main theme, and that's always been the case, where the main theme sets the tone for everything else we do in the game. And there's time throughout the entire project for that to evolve.
That's true, and I remember like during the Fallout 4 visit, which was actually in 2012, I was wandering through the corridors and I basically stumbled into the artist's room. And it was the first time I actually saw them do what they're doing. I was captivated. I was like, wow, I mean, this is really what it is all about. And I felt so inspired and motivated basically to go back and, you know, to do the same thing with the palette of music. The biggest challenge is actually creating the signature.
I relax a lot once we feel good about the main thing, because the rest is going to, it'll be work and iteration, but it's going to write itself.
The way I looked at Starfield always is what I called the sanctified triplet, which is everything is streaming, right? Everything is changing and everything is returning back. Ta-da, ta-da, here's your development. And then ta-da, and back. So basically it presents itself, it develops, it goes back.
The circular.
Is exactly, some sort of like a circular journey.
You go out, you adventure, discover, return.
Yes, there's always the strive to go back home. And that's, I mean, I guess that's what feels so complete for us, right? We want to complete the mission. We want to complete our journey. We will find something, we will discover something, we'll take it with us, and we will go back home with it. When we built the traditional orchestral sound palette, we actually really divided the orchestral group. For example, took the woodwinds, okay? And we created like a whole woodwind layer that almost represents particle in space, because they don't play melodies at all. They play sort of like a high frequency sequence, you know, like together. So they almost don't sound like woodwind. They sound something between organic to synthetic. Then the strings, they will play this long chords or long melodies and long crescendos and diminuendos. And these kind of things along the line with the fast-moving woodwinds will create a nice blanket around these waves, okay? And then comes the brass. And the brass, especially the French horns, playing sort of like the beacon, you know, the call of the brass.
Those instrument groups as well. A lot of times when you are looking at that whole main theme, I'm kind of salivating thinking about what can I do with that on the sound design side, you know, not just to weave the main theme into different key points in the game, leveling up, discovering new places. Could we use that as straight up sound design to take those woodwind tremolos and just let's slow them way down, let's reverse them. I'll take any of that music and turn it into ambience somewhere. The music is like the companion. It's the companion to the player in the single-player game. We don't have control over how the player chooses to experience the game. Our sense of scale had to be totally readjusted in making a game on a planetary surface as we've always done before, and now where you have these very vast distances against this black, starry background. It is a blank canvas and a massive playground, and all the pieces are there for you to write your own story. Whether you jump right in and you wish to follow the main quest, the main story, and go to the obvious. One point leads to another, leads to another. The music has a funny way of playing the right chord change at the right time, and a lot of that just happens at random. You look over the valley at just the right moment, and that just happens to be when this one chord change happens, and there are times like that that feel scripted, and they're not. And I like that each player has that experience for themselves personally.
I believe that the game is a whole experience, and music is part of the whole experience. I believe that the best music in a game is a music that you don't hear, music that you feel. This is something that is bigger than us. I mean, so many people worked on this game. And so my wish is that specifically the music will be present in a way that is going to magnify the entire experience.
That gives you a look at the stories in Starfield. But ultimately, it's not our story. It's the story you create by who you are and the choices you make. And that starts with character creation. It's our most flexible yet. You can customize all the elements of how you look. You'll You'll pick a background that gives you 3 starting skills.
Says here you spent some time as a diplomat. Having a way with words might prove useful.
There are optional traits, and these come with unique advantages and disadvantages. But it's not just in how you can look, but in how your character plays and develops. The skill system combines the best from our previous games, and you can unlock new skills as you level up, and then you rank those skills up by using them and completing challenges. And there's deep crafting systems, from running research projects with resources you find, to crafting weapon mods needed to survive. And you can build your own outposts. These act as a home away from home for survival and resource generation. You can choose where and how to build each one, and you can hire characters you meet to keep it up and running. But that's not all. You can even build your own spaceships. You can choose crew members, and yes, you can completely customize the look and layout. There's loads of different modules, ship manufacturers, and more. I have to say, it's so cool. We just absolutely love this.
According to the scanners, the abandoned research facility is in this direction. aware that pirates of the Crimson Fleet are using the facility.
Hey, there you are! We've got company! Opening fire! Think that guy down, huh? Pull back! You're gonna pay for that!
Hi, I'm Jess Finster, Community Director at Bethesda, and I'm back at Bethesda Game Studios doing another round of Constellation questions. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted your questions on Discord, Reddit, Twitter. We really appreciated reading them all. Today we're talking with Starfield's lead quest designer, Will Shen, on quests. So let's get started. Hi, Will.
Hi, Jess.
Do you want to give a brief intro to yourself so they can get to know you a little bit better?
Sure. I'm Will Shen. I'm the lead quest designer on Starfield, and I am also responsible for the main quest.
Well, we got some of the top questions from our community that they want to know about Starfield. First question. One of the best things about the previous games were random encounters that you have in the world. For Starfield, how has the random encounter system been improved or expanded upon, if at all?
So very exciting. This time around, we have entire planets that we have to populate. So we actually have new tech to take whole locations that we've built and put them on the planets. Now you could say maybe you're going to an outpost and you actually discover there's a whole group of people there with a particular problem. Whereas, before it might be just a person coming to you along the road. Now it's an actual whole location that can be put there. And maybe they have a problem like one of our members was kidnapped. They've been kidnapped by some pirates. And we think they're over there. We actually are replacing a whole other location with that person in it and enemies around it. So it's a dynamically placed settlement that is taking you to a dynamically placed dungeon as you're walking through the planet.
So basically, at any point in time on a planet, you can just experience a random encounter anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're really only just scratching the surface of what that tech can do.
We can see what looks like Earth's own solar system in the Starfield gameplay trailer. Will there be quests taking us back there and exploring how things have changed?
Yeah, actually, very early on in the main quest, we take you to our solar system, which in our lore is called the Old Neighborhood.
Nice.
And you'll be being sent there on a mission from Constellation to discover the mysteries of the artifacts. And you'll get in contact with the question of what happened to Earth, but also you'll go to Mars, and there's actually a settlement, one of the early settlements that humanity created after they left Earth. It's called Cydonia, and that's a whole city with its own problems and people to meet.
How will faction quest lines work compared to other BGS games? Can we join multiple factions and complete all of them like in Skyrim, or does joining one lock you out of certain others like in Fallout 4?
Yeah, so one of the early things we decided on was making sure that the main quest actually kind of gives you a little bit of a tour of the settled systems and all of the major players there so that we can give you a taste of what they're going to be up to.
We're peacekeepers. We protect the people of the Freestar Collective.
We also discussed really early on, like, okay, do we make some of the factions be in conflict with each other and we decided, we really want to make sure that you can play through all the faction lines independently of each other. And this time around, we were like, no, we really want the stories to be a little more personal, right? You're influencing the direction of where this faction is going to go. So say the politics of the Freestar Rangers, right? What's more important? Is it justice or industry, right? Where are you going to try to nudge them in this direction or another? So you don't necessarily end up as the head of every single faction of the game. But obviously all the major characters in every faction quest line will be reflecting on your choices, but it can have far-reaching consequences for what that faction is, what it cares about.
What will the role of some of the companions be during quests?
The companions along the Constellation storyline, which is the main quest, they'll have a lot of opinions and points of view about what the decisions you'll be making along the main storyline. We've also added in several times where you can ask them to speak for you. So you might have a companion with you and you'll be challenged to, someone will tell you you can't get through here, and you can actually turn to your companion and say, hey, actually, could you handle this? And they'll actually speak on your behalf, and there could be consequences, good or bad, for what they happen to say. And all the usual things you would expect from followers, right? They'll follow you into danger, you can trade equipment with them, and they'll also be crewing your ship, which is new, so they'll be helping out on your ship as well.
Will NPCs react in different ways depending on how the player completes a quest?
Yeah, all the quest lines have major characters, right, that they'll reflect on the decisions you're making, and they'll have opinions about whether they're good or bad, and for a few of the storylines, including the main quest, who ends up with you at the end, right? There are some, you'll be determining the fates sometimes, whether someone lives or dies, or whether someone's still in the faction or decides to leave the faction. There's a lot of different things that'll happen.
Well, that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you so much, Will, for taking the time. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Will for volunteering his time to answer our questions, and thank you for submitting your questions. If you want to be the first to know about videos like this one or other news about Starfield, we encourage you to sign up to join Constellation. You can also submit any Starfield questions you would like to know at the hashtag here. So until next time, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our brand spanking new Ninja House in Cambridge. I wanted to give you an update on the work so far for Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. What we're doing right now is building a good chunky slice of the game before we then move into full production to build out the rest. Hellblade was very special for us, and we didn't want to do a straight sequel. We wanted to do something extra special, and so we're making our lives as difficult as possible in that pursuit. The game is set in Iceland, 9th century Iceland, so we've been sending our art and audio teams out there, doing photography, photogrammetry, and combining it with satellite data to recreate large swathes of the landscape. On the character front, we're building real costumes, scanning them in. We're collaborating with Epic Games to bring you next-generation digital characters. On the combat front, we want it to be extra real and brutal. And so Melina, our main actress, has been training for 2 years, and all of our animators have undergone combat training. And so what you're going to see here is not a trailer, it's not a gameplay reveal, but rather a montage of the kind of work we've been up to. Hope you like it.
Will you follow me on this journey? By sea, by land, and dreams, through the valleys of despair, over the mountains of rage, to the depth of fear in my mind. You might see me as weak, but I will show you what lies behind my eyes.
With our swords, we will forge new stories to strike the gods that haunt us. We will embrace our suffering, soothe our scars of grief, and break their siege of our minds. They may see them as gods, but we will show them what lies behind our eyes.
Gá í á fjalli, undis njóta.
And she said, with our swords, we will forge new stories to strike the gods that haunt us. You might see me as weak, but I will show you what lies behind my eyes. We will embrace our suffering, soothe our scars of grief, and break their siege of our minds. You may see them as gods, but we will show you what lies behind their eyes.
Wait. Listen. It's coming. He's here. That's my name. He can smell your fear. Cecily. It knows our name. How does it know our name?
To risk your own life for what you believe is your sacrifice to make. To lead others to death brings a different kind of burden. One that Senua would have to learn to bear.
Can you smell their fear? He's here. Death is coming. Look at the bones. Death is coming. Look at the bones. That's going to be you. That's going to be everyone. No one's ever killed a giant before. What makes you think you can stay down?
Those whose eyes are clouded by fear are besieged by the ghosts that haunt them. Senua saw that to win the war we must break this siege. Break it with an unshakable truth. Break it with an impossible feat.
Get ready. It's about to start. Get ready. Now's the moment. Get ready. You can do this. First the iron, then the fire. Yes. Yes. No. Yes. Varric. Harold.
Bring it to you.
Joy! I'm here! I'm here! Take me! wants to kill him.
Get ready! Attack! Attack now! Begin! Attack! Spear! Help me!
He's seen you. She's What's your name? I know you. He needs you.
Microsoft's fourth-generation consoles, the Xbox Series X and Series S, are now entering Year 3. And though Year 1 started with a soft launch in the exclusive games department, the second half of this generation's first year delivered the flood that parched Xbox fans have waited years for. From Forza Horizon 5 to Halo Infinite to Psychonauts 2 to Microsoft Flight Simulator, it sure seemed like the Xbox's exclusive games drought was finally over. Of course, by now you know the story because you lived through it. The whole of 2022 was like a mirage in the desert. You thought you could see water up ahead, but was it really there? As such, 2023 simply must deliver for Xbox gamers who've invested so much in the platform. Microsoft is a trillion-dollar company who has seemingly exhausted the patience of its player base. Fortunately, though, there's reason to be optimistic. The conversation around blockbuster exclusives for Xbox in 2023 begins and ends with Starfield, the first brand new IP from renowned game designer Todd Howard in decades, and the first game he's directed at all since Fallout 4 back in 2015. Howard tried to call his shot back in 2020, promising an 11/11/22 release date a full 18 months early. That didn't work out, but now Starfield is finally almost here, and with apologies to Arcane's Redfall, which we'll get to in a moment, Starfield is not just the biggest game to come out of Bethesda since Microsoft bought the publisher for $7.5 billion 2 years ago. It is, on paper, the kind of exclusive that makes people want to buy into the Xbox ecosystem. And for the millions of players still enjoying the Starfield team's own Skyrim, there's good news. Starfield just might be Skyrim in space, which should be welcome news for millions of Elder Scrolls fans who've been waiting over a decade for the 6th installment of that venerable series. But Starfield will have to wait until closer to the middle of the year at least. All indications are that the aforementioned Redfall will be released first. The 4-player vampire hunting co-op first-person shooter looked downright delightful the last time we saw it, and got a giant info dump from co-creative director Harvey Smith, and it should help ease the sting of watching Bethesda's last 2 major releases, Arcane's own delectable Deathloop and Tango Gameworks' solidly strange Ghostwire Tokyo, get released as PlayStation 5 exclusives as part of a deal Bethesda signed with Sony prior to the Microsoft acquisition. Fortunately, Deathloop is now on Xbox Game Pass, and Ghostwire should follow when its 1-year window of PlayStation exclusivity expires in March. Arcane has always made devilishly smart games. Hall of Fame game designer Warren Spector calls them immersive sims that have tended to earn more critical acclaim than commercial success. Given the evergreen success of vampires in pop culture, perhaps Redfall will finally be the game that checks both boxes for the studio. Also expected in the first half of 2023 is Forza Motorsport, the next-gen only reboot of Xbox's long-running simulation racing game series. As great as the first 7 Motorsport entries have been, Horizon has arguably become the better Forza over its 5 iterations. It's also got wider appeal. Thus, Motorsport will need to dig deep into its simulation-based history to raise the bar above its raucous sibling once again. What's been shown so far has been gorgeous, not to mention developer Turn 10 Studios has taken ample time in rebuilding the game from the ground up, as Forza Motorsport 7 released all the way back in 2017 on Xbox One. The developers of Forza Motorsport have never failed to deliver, so racing game fans have good cause to be excited when this reboot drops. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has had a huge impact on the video game industry, and 2 major Xbox exclusives slated for release last year were pushed back to account for the war encroaching on developers' literal doorsteps. AAA first-person shooter Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl from Ukraine-based studio GSC Game World is the most high-profile of the games whose development timelines have been affected. The survival horror shooter will hopefully land on Xbox Game Pass in 2023, and whenever it does, it will have the entire gaming community rooting for its success. The same can be said for startup studio Sad Cat Studios, who had to relocate for the team's own safety due to the invasion. Work on Replaced has resumed, and it too will hopefully ship in 2023 as an Xbox exclusive. It's a cyberpunk thriller with gorgeous 2.5D pixel art set in an alternate reality 1980s, and it was a standout title in its debut at Xbox's 2021 showcase event. More recently, Xbox's 2022 showcase promised more exclusives in 2023. Minecraft Legends is an action strategy game that stands to do well with the casual crowd, but is unlikely to move the needle for core gamers. Instead, the biggest move Xbox is making in both 2023 and beyond, and right now the most fascinating grab-your-popcorn soap opera of recent times, is Microsoft's attempted acquisition of Activision Blizzard. As Microsoft and Sony take hilarious turns trying to appear more meek and fable than the other in front of the regulatory boards in a bid to push the deal forward or stop it completely, the on-the-ground reality for Microsoft is, if the deal does go through, to suddenly bring Blizzard's 2023 powerhouse sequel Diablo 4 to Xbox Game Pass. The Call of Duty exclusivity situation is a whole other matter entirely, but getting a new Diablo onto Game Pass would be a huge win for Xbox. Even if you set aside the Activision Blizzard drama, Microsoft still has a number of exclusives that have previously been announced that could land in the latter half of 2023. The gorgeous Unreal Engine 5 powered psychological thriller Senua's Saga: Hellblade 2 from renowned developer Ninja Theory seems like the most probable candidate of the lot. Avowed is tougher to gauge since we haven't even seen a gameplay trailer from it yet, but developer Obsidian has already delivered one 10 out of 10 game as an Xbox exclusive, and Avowed could be the perfect way to satiate Skyrim fans while the wait for The Elder Scrolls 6 continues. Could it sneak in at the end of 2023? Possibly, though it could depend on where in the calendar Starfield ends up landing. Perfect Dark, Fable, The Outer Worlds 2, Contraband, and Gears 6 all seem unlikely to sneak in before the Xbox Series X's third year comes to a close, but hopefully we'll see at least something tangible from each of them. More concretely, it's not outside the realm of possibility that one or more of State of Decay 3, Indiana Jones, and Everwild lands on your console sooner than expected. The bottom line, though, is that it is well past time for Microsoft to deliver blockbuster exclusives to its fans. All of those games will come with $70 price tags, as Microsoft finally joined most of the rest of the major publishers in the industry at raising its game prices from $60. Fortunately, many Xbox gamers won't really feel any effects of that, since all of those first-party games launch directly into Xbox Game Pass, whose monthly price is, for now, unchanged. On that note, Xbox Game Pass has become so successful it's now a meme, which is probably the best case scenario Microsoft could have hoped for when they spun up the service back in 2017. The thing is though, the meme don't lie. Xbox Game Pass really is the best deal in gaming, and 2023 should deliver not just the first wave of overdue first-party exclusives, but also continued third-party value as well. Though no formal announcement has been made yet, it's reasonable to expect MLB The Show 23 to return to the service on launch day. So too will indie darling Hollow Knight Silksong, the Vin Diesel vehicle Arc 2, promising souls like Flintlock The Siege of Dawn, intriguing farming sim Lightyear Frontier, moody platformer The Last Case of Benedict Fox, and quirky action-adventure Ravenlock. And that's just what's expected in the first half of the new year. More are inevitably coming. Meanwhile, Xbox Cloud Gaming continues to quietly evolve and integrate into the Xbox ecosystem via Game Pass. There are deals to be had on the Xbox Series S, and oh yeah, you can now actually find and purchase an Xbox Series X at many stores without too much hassle. And once you do have the console in hand, you can now order a custom Xbox Elite controller in the Xbox Design Lab, further personalizing your Xbox experience. Ultimately, 2023 is a year of serious promise for Xbox, but it comes with an understandable sense of urgency from Xbox owners. Microsoft has seen its stable of first-party studios grow immensely over the past several years, rectifying a series of mistakes that compounded during the Xbox One generation. Players have been patient, but at this point, Microsoft has exhausted any goodwill it had remaining. In short, it's time to put up or shut up. Fortunately, all indications are that, like the 2016 Chicago Cubs, this is finally going to be the year. For more from the world of Xbox, don't miss our recent hands-on preview of Diablo 4, and for everything else in the world of Xbox, keep it tuned right here to IGN.
I tell you, it takes a lot of rage to stare across 8 realms of hell, an ocean of demons, into the eyes of the Red Judge and still think, I'm coming for you. Her guns were the drums of hell. Me? I'm just a fan. I'm still here holding on. Let this fight break, let this fortune last. So beyond this age, it's all beyond that scar. You always spoke the truth, but never knew it all. Never knew it all. Just wanna turn around. This devastation feels like you.
Time is against us, and the curse that afflicts Tasha continues to consume her. Briggsy believed that a cure did indeed exist. If you can find it, we can save Tasha. Following in her footsteps is our only hope of discovering what she knew. I have imbued Briggsy's mask with her memories. Use it and let those memories guide you. Briggsy found a way to see a world beyond our own. And now you must too. But you must be cautious. For there will be others seeking the power of this cure for themselves.
My adventures always made for grand stories. But there are parts of my journey that I never dared reveal. I think now, it's time for that story to be told.
Hello, and welcome to the first Sea of Thieves news of 2023. As you can see, I'm not John, but there's still a boatload of content to share with you. So, let's get started, shall we? Following on from the events of our previous adventure, The Rogue's Legacy, Tasha's curse continues to consume her, and it's up to you to discover the world beyond our own and uncover the secrets of Captain Briggsy's past in our new adventure, The Secret Wilds. This new adventure will be available from the 19th of January, free for all players. And over in the Rare Store, you can plan your voyages for the year ahead with the Sea of Thieves 2023 calendar, featuring full-colour artwork of your favourite scenes and characters. In the Pirate Emporium this month, you can reminisce about your mythical misadventures with the Labyrinth Looter ship set. Adorned with gold accents and a figurehead that's just too hot to handle, you'll be feared amongst pirates as you bulldoze across the waves. On land, however, you can put your horns to use with the Labyrinth Looter costume and accompanying Charge Up emote. And with the Labyrinth Looter weapon set, you'll be ready to take on the monstrous foes of myth and legend with ease. Well, from a distance at least. The totally awesome, awe-inspiring emote bundle will have you getting stacked, getting dizzy, and doing things that gravity just simply wouldn't allow. And when no one is responding to your puns, you can always rely on your trusty Pocket Pebble to get you through the lonelier times on the sea. Just don't try skimming it, he doesn't like that. The Lunar Festival pet outfits are back for a limited time. Get your beloved companions dancing like a dragon to celebrate the new year in style. And finally, when you need to get your point across, you can always call out other pirates in a rather intimidating fashion with the Come Here emote. And better yet, it's free for all players. I promise to never skim you again. Since returning from a well-earned rest, the team have been hard at work on updates to PvP matchmaking. Senior designer George Orton is on deck to tell us more.
We've seen a couple of areas, specifically with our Season 8 introduced PvP gameplay, that we know we can improve. We will now be allowing same faction battles when matchmaking has taken too long. So this should mean that there is always a battle available to you. Same faction battles will have a dramatic improvement on matchmaking times, and so will cross-stamp migration. Now, without getting too much into the details, cross-stamp migration allows more crews to find each other as part of the migration process. Players will now earn increased compensation when their ship sinks and they lose a battle. We've increased the amount of reputation that you will earn for the Reaper's Bones if you sail as a Servant of the Flame with the Reaper's Emissary flag up. We've also changed it so that crews who sink to the battle bounds will now actually get that compensation for losing the battle. And we've boosted the number of available arenas for these PvP battles from 6 to 50. So players should see loads more variation, and I'll also be closer to outposts when it comes to cashing in any chests that they've earned from their opposition. We've seen crews spawning into battles where they feel outnumbered by the number of opponent ships. For this reason, we now no longer grant you the rewards for allegiance and Hourglass of Fate value if you sink somebody else's invading ship. Only the 2 ships involved in the battle will be able to get those rewards. In addition to this, we have fixed the bug where chests and crates will act as a shield for your ship and absorb cannon hits for you. So that exploit is fixed and you can no longer do that.
And that's it for another episode. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, then like, subscribe, ring that little ship's bell for all those glorious notifications. Cheers.
Action, knowledge, come with me. We must witness this together. What is my favorite legend of the overworld? The one I like most tells of a peaceful land that did not know cruelty. Until it was attacked by invaders, spreading the scourge of greed and fire. It tells of a world on the brink of disaster, rising to answer the call of a hero. Of struggles and sacrifices. But most importantly, this legend reminds us that hope can win the day. And that when fiery foes seem never-ending, that is when the world needs legends the most.
Watch out everyone, the piglins are coming! And we're going to talk a lot about those wee guys. But before we do, I should introduce not piglins, but a couple of the team members responsible for the highly anticipated Minecraft Legends. Welcome to the game's executive producer, Dennis Reese. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you.
And creative director, Magnus Niedfors.
Yes.
Welcome, Magnus.
Thank you very
for joining us today. Hey, welcome back to Gamescom.
Yeah, it's great.
Feels
It's
good
so
to be
exciting.
back, right?
I know. It's nice to be back here in Germany with sausages and video games. It's excellent.
All the good things at once.
Those are a few of my favorite things.
Yeah,
Sausages and video games. Right, so you announced Minecraft Legends at our Xbox showcase back in June, right? So give us a reminder of what we should expect from Legends.
Well, Legends is an action strategy game based in the Minecraft universe that really encourages you to go out and explore the world and use all of these resources that you gather to help defend the overworld, which is being invaded by these horrible piglins. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think players are really going to enjoy getting out and playing the game.
Yeah, well, it's a new game that we're developing at Mojang. We're doing it together with Blackbird Interactive. It is a little bit of a different game because the easiest way to describe it is action and strategy. So it's a kind of a unique combination of gameplay.
Nice. So it's not the same Minecraft that we're used to, but clearly still set in the Minecraft universe, still got all the things we know and love about Minecraft. But it must be so exciting to take that universe in a different direction, right? So why did you choose to do that with Minecraft Legends?
Well, with Minecraft, we really like to, at Mojang, we really like to create games that we love to play. And we're really passionate about strategy games. And years ago, people are sitting around talking about how they could bring a strategy game into the Minecraft universe. And, the more talk, and it turned into something that we really wanted to do. And it was, it's passion, really, that drove us to this Legend.
Great. And it's kind of, within the Minecraft universe, you do kind of have this kind of blank slate, right? To create all these different experiences, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Must be fun to play with.
Yeah. No, that's one of the great things, Minecraft is such a treat. It's like it's for everybody in so many ways. We do have, the original game that we usually call vanilla. We have done Minecraft Legend. No, sorry, we're doing that now. We have done Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah.
And now we want to bring yet another game to broaden the experiences that player can experience within the Minecraft universe. So.
Great. So once the idea or the sort of seed for Minecraft Legends developed, how did you build the team around it? Who did you bring together to work on the game?
Well, we knew that when we started to go out and build this, there were a couple of problems we had to solve. Number one, Mojang isn't a strategy game developer. It's not something we do. And number two, as Magnus mentioned, a real Minecraft or original Minecraft is called vanilla to us. And for us, vanilla is really important, and the studio focuses mostly on vanilla. So we had to go find a partner, one who knew how to build strategy games, and one who really had a passion for Minecraft. And so we started looking around, and we uncovered Blackbird Interactive.
Okay.
They were known for making the strategy game called Deserts of Karak. And they were a pretty newly formed company at the time, but their experience ran deep with strategy games. And the more we looked at them, the more we realized how passionate they were also about the Minecraft universe. We really thought they could be a great partner for us. And so that's when we started moving forward.
Right.
And when we started to work with them, you said they were already passionate, but they were also eager to learn what's the secret behind making a Minecraft game. So it's been super interesting to work on them, like their creative team, just tossing ideas around. And could it be this? No. Could it be this? Yeah, great idea. And we can just throwing ideas back and forth, what's good for Minecraft and what's not good for Minecraft.
Right.
Yeah.
It must be great to bring new people, new ideas into that kind of Minecraft melting pot. That must be a ton of fun, right?
Oh, so much fun. And actually, the team started very small. Just a few of us kind of getting going. And then once we had a good idea as to how we wanted to progress, it slowly got larger and larger. And then, new people with a lot of new experience came on board. And I remember Magnus, actually. Magnus came on, 2-3 years ago? And when he came on, his experience with open world games completely changed how we wanted to think about Legends. And we were able to take a lot of his experience and apply it to Legends to really create a better experience. And that's the story across the board with lots of the folks from the team as it grew. And I really enjoy it. It's been a great experience.
Nice. Wow, Magnus.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to work with them, and the whole team is fantastic to work with. And as Dennis said, I came aboard a couple of years ago. But I also saw the energy that already existed there. Like everybody was so excited, and it was great for me to learn a new environment and a new type of games. I come a little bit from a different background. Yes, I made open world games, so I can bring that experience. But Minecraft is so different, so it was a lot of super fun learning for me as well, coming to Mojang, you know, really of course I played it almost since day one, because, you know, back in the day Mojang was a studio across the street from me, so like we've known it, I've known it for a long time, but just, you know, getting to know it for real, working with all the creative people, both at Mojang, but as well at Blackbird, you know, just, that's what I like to do as, you know, in my creative leadership. I kind of like to lead teams, you know, just get them together, but there's so much creativity going on, and, you know, get that snowball effect of just talking about ideas and so on. It's so fun.
I mean, he even listens to me, the executive producer, every once in a while.
Every now and then.
Every now and then.
What a team. That's amazing. Now, speaking of the team, though, one of the things that fascinates me about this is that Blackbird are in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Magnus, you're in Sweden.
Yes.
Dennis, you're in Redmond, near Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So you've got 3 completely different geographical locations. How do you pull all that together?
Well, it's, you know, a lot of work and dedication from the team in general. But that's the thing. We've managed to change our hours when we need to. And, you know, also BBI has been very accommodating when we all need to travel to a location and be on site, work together. We just make it work. But really it comes down to that passion. And working together, let's say it's fun. We really enjoy each other's company. And, you know, what started as just sort of work relationships really has become more friendship. And so you're willing to endure some of that time zone change so that you can, you know, enjoy spending time. I stare at Magnus on his screen so much.
Yeah, you're crazy. You kind of like, I don't know when you go up. It's often before I normally go to bed, so I don't know. But
yeah, but you're up pretty late too, so it's like we just make it work.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, like making games is always a bit of a challenge. Like it's not easy to make these kind of games, but I think it's an all that struggle that you, as Dennis said, you make friends in real life and so on, and just get along together and have a good time. You know, struggles makes people come together in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you talked about Minecraft Legends as an action strategy game, right? Why did you choose that genre? And, you know, tell us what that means from a gameplay sense.
Well, so what we wanted to make sure that when we choose any games within the Minecraft universe, that you know, they're unique and different. And really, you can look at Legends, for example. We did that where we wanted to bring a dungeon crawler experience into the Minecraft universe. And so in doing so, we wanted to make it feel very Minecraft. And that's what we did with the strategy game here with Legends, is we really wanted to make sure that we are authentic to what Minecraft was as we bring it into, you know, a strategy experience into the universe. And, you know, I mean, that's a big piece.
What Danny said, like, in the beginning, it was an idea that, hey, we should have a strategy game within the Minecraft universe, and that would be cool. But another aspect of Minecraft is that we always have a hero character. So the hero character is there, and that's not common in strategy games. You usually control a strategy game by a mouse pointer or something like that.
Right.
So bringing that hero, like letting the player feel like they're part of the game world, is super important in all our games. So that kind of founded, hey, how can we combine these two types of game where you're one part hero-centric, but one part controlling armies and so on. That's really been really interesting. And when we kind of started to realize that, it's, hey, this is quite new. And as a game maker, when you find something you feel, this isn't, like there's not 10 games like that out there, then you feel like you're something on to something special. So actually it was, the thing that brought me really into this project was kind of my first day. 2 of the team members just sat down directly, described the game to me, and I kind of like almost in that day felt like, wow, we have something great here, because I haven't heard anything like this before. And then we just kept rolling with that action strategy idea.
Okay. So. This might sound like a silly question, but right, action strategy. Where do you find the balance, right? Because action is quite immediate, it's quite visceral. Strategy is a little bit more step back, assess the situation. So where's the balance in Legends?
It's hard to balance games always, but I would say it's hard to draw a pie chart of you spend 73% in strategy mode and this percentage in another mode and so on. But it's like I'm surprised how well it actually fits together now. Like because they go into each other and they complement each other in a really good way. One thing that we wanted to do from the beginning is to make a strategy game that works well on console.
Right.
That's hard with the traditional. Like, but it's actually strange to think about it, but the pace of a strategy game is often higher than an action game because you're so quick of scrolling around, maneuvering around with your cursor and so on, click, 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 and you do very, very many actions in a very, very short time in a strategy game normally. So having a hero at the center that can't be there, actually, surprisingly enough, brings down the tempo of a strategy game, which is very well suited to make it play well on consoles by a controller. So like just adding those two types, it was kind of a surprise. I wish I could be smart and sit there and say, yeah, we thought about that from the beginning. But sometimes you need to be honest and say, this is something that we discovered as we prototyped and developed the game.
A wonderful discovery.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's one of the things I find really interesting about this is, you know, you made the point, you're not controlling a cursor, you're actually controlling a character. You have to deliberately traverse the environment and, you know, physically move within the game, right? So how do you handle that within the game design, like actually getting around the world?
Well, it was actually really great because it's easy to navigate as you go about and run through the world. You are on a horse within Minecraft. You know, that's possible in vanilla, but here you're always on your horse.
Right.
So you're able to navigate all types of terrain quickly, get to where you need to, execute your commands, and then also there's other areas in the game that as you're running through the world, you'll uncover new elements. Like, for example, we have Speed Wheat, which gives you an instant speed rush, or actually mushrooms within the world, which allows you to jump extra high. And then you can use those abilities to access other areas of the world in quick or strategic ways.
Oh, and given that you've gone in a slightly different direction here, a different genre, you know, what inspirations did you pull from within, you know, other things you've done within Minecraft as well, but then maybe some external influence as well, other games?
Yeah, well, for me, like, I really look not to external games to make this reference, but more internal. Like, you know, Minecraft Dungeons taught so much to the art organization onto how to bring a new game that is not your traditional Minecraft experience, a dungeon crawler, to the players. And like, I personally think we learned so much just from that game alone that we're applying to Legends to make sure that we can bring another game in the right way. I would definitely say that's a great reference.
Yeah. Well, inspiration on the creative side, obviously, as you mentioned, Minecraft in general, like all our games, we want to stay true to, you know, creative people are so fluffy and it's hard to tell, but that Minecraft feel, it's like hard to describe in another way. Otherwise,
but you know it immediately.
Exactly, we know it immediately. But other than that, I don't want to point out a special game because, as we have been talking, it's kind of a unique combination. It's not like any other game out there. It's rare. But of course, there was a few games like this in the 90s, in the early 2000s. Not very many, but technology now makes it possible to push that even further. We can have more troops and so on. So I can't say there's a one game or several games, but you know, just play a lot of games and enjoy them, and you will draw inspiration from so many things. One thing as a creative, I think it's unusual to hear that people, but I like to think about you should draw inspiration from things that you don't think is that good either. So when you play games that you feel like, I'm missing something here, what can I do to make this a better game as well? So it's kind of strange to be inspired by bad things, but that's actually true for myself.
Yeah, that's a super constructive way to be inspired, right?
Yeah.
It's building on something. That's awesome. So when you think about the player you're aiming for, is it more of the sort of classic Minecraft player, or is it more of a classic strategy fan?
Yes, it's all of the above. Yeah, you know, that's one thing, is that we really wanted to create an experience that if you're not a strategy game player, that you can enjoy.
Right.
And if you are a strategy game player, then, you know, we'll give you a great experience that you can enjoy as well. And I think that we're really nailing it. Like, we're actually, it's coming along. I was not a traditional hardcore strategy game player, but I found myself really, really enjoying what we're creating to the point where I've started experimenting and playing some other games now, and it's kind of broadened my exposure to the genre. And so I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of other players, similar to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It has been important to obviously to get as a broad target audience as possible. But I think again with Minecraft, it's possible because we are already reaching out reaching so many players and so on. So obviously, all the players who knows Minecraft now get a new way of enjoying Minecraft. But at the same time, it's super important to remember that even though a lot of players play Minecraft or have played it in the past and so on, this game is also totally possible. You don't need to have played Minecraft. You don't need to know what Minecraft is to enjoy this game. You can come on in, and this game will help you to understand what the Minecraft universe is and bring you into the wonderful, thing we have going on there.
Excellent. I want to talk more about the hero. We touched on the hero earlier.
Yeah.
I just find it really fascinating. Like, how did you center the experience and this idea of action strategy around that hero character?
The hero coming into the world and that element of exploring, I mean, it's very Minecrafty, right? So applying it here was just something that we wanted to make sure we did. And I don't know, Magnus, you could probably touch on a little better than I could.
As you say, the hero is important, but it's kind of like because it's important in all our games. That's the center. We want that to be a extension of a player almost.
Right.
So the kind of like there is a story told about a hero coming into this legend and so on, but the game structure is relatively open, so you can play it however you want, in the order you want to, and so on. And we'll push on the story depending on what actions you take with your hero. So you move through the story in the campaign. But at the same time, as we want that to be the core of the game, it's not in gameplay everything. It's so much more about that you are a character coming to this world and, uniting everybody who is here against the threat that the piglins are. So you need to come here to make a lot of friends, and they will, together with you, help you to defeat the piglins. So it's not about getting stronger or you're not getting a new arm or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more or less make friends, play around with them, have a good time, and defeat the piglins together.
It's a great message, though, isn't it? It's like it's almost like you're building connections, you're building alliances, you're uniting people against a common enemy.
I didn't think about this, but I said before, it's kind of like game dev. I said, struggles makes you come together and you're able to overcome obstacles. And that's kind of what you do in the game as well as the hero. There is a struggle, the piglins are attacking, we need to defend, so everybody comes together, and then we defeat the piglins.
So. I love that. And it's with your team as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You're bringing this team together from lots of different places.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very cool. All right. It's time to talk piglins.
Ah, yes.
We want to talk piglins. I mean, what's their deal? And why did you choose them as the bad guys?
What's up with them?
What's up with the piglins? Piglins exist in vanilla.
Yeah.
And they were great for us to bring them out into Legends and expand on them. And so, there's sort of different versions of what piglins exist in Legends compared to what they are in vanilla. But they're, these horrible, mean, kind of ugly, cute characters that look like they really stink. But it's just they sort of invade and they're just causing nothing but problems. And here they are in the overworld, destroying it, and that's where you, the hero, comes to play to try to unite that overworld and take them back. And yeah, that's definitely a big piece.
Yeah, as you said, they are ugly cute, right?
Yeah.
So they're so charming, and we felt that from the beginning. Like of all the mobs that we have, we like all our mobs in the Minecraft universe, but the pigling had such a potential to be kind of like the bad guys in a game, where it was easy to see, wow, we can make this version of a piglin, we could that so we have expanded the range of piglins in many different ways. As you saw the trailer when we started up, many new types of piglins within the game and so on. So it's pretty cool.
So tell me about some of those different types of piglins. I want to know what we're coming up against.
Well, there's one of them we just debuted here in the trailer that you just saw. It is called the Pigmadillo. And it's the one that comes out of the portal and then kind of hunches up into like a cube and rolls at you. Very difficult to defeat, and one of the more fun ones.
Yeah.
Another one is the Bruiser. It's another one you've seen in the trailer. It comes out and has like two kind of razor blades on its arms and does, some really wicked moves as it comes and attacks you. But yeah, that's a very fun one too. There's lots of different types of piglins.
Yeah, we have expanded in so many ways. So that's a couple of like detailed units. Another thing that we have done is to kind of like build up almost like a society. Like we have different hordes, as we say. Here as game comes, we have been presenting a horde of the Bastion. And so the different hordes differentiate both in look, but primarily in the game how they play, how you play against them and so on. So you need to think about how you engage in combat with the different hordes in different ways. So they look and feel different, and it's just fun to engage with them.
Right. So what kind of units do you, as the hero player, then bring to bear against the piglins?
Well, I mean, for example, Magnus referenced how the Horde of the Bastion has a lot of structures. So one of the units you're going to want to use on your side is one called the Cobblestone Golem. That's very good against structures. So you can take the Cobblestone Golems and attack and get a lot more results, a lot better results. Another one is the Plank Golem. You saw a horrible demise of a Plank Golem in the trailer, actually. But that's one of the ranged units. And that's very, very good as you attack to use those in tandem. I don't know, any others you can think of?
Well, I'm thinking more about the way that you need to engage with them, because as I said, the hordes are playing differently. The Horde of the Bastion, for example, it's almost hear it at the name, right? They like to build forts, they entrench themselves and so on. So you need to like grind your way into their bases and to defeat the portals at the center of it. While others are more open and so on. So it's how you think about your unit composition, which friends you bring with you in each fight and so on. And also the way you lead them. Like you can lead your friends into battle in so many different ways.
Yeah.
We have been
I love exploring the bases.
Yeah.
And like get to the high ground, look at the base, and evaluate what is the best way I want to attack this base.
Yeah.
And then use the tools, your units, as you see fit to go and do the best results possible.
Yeah, it's good variation. So a lot of gameplay variation, a lot of different units. We will show more as we go along up until the launch of the game. So
great. As you're talking through there, it feels like, yes, you're taking the genre in a new direction, but it's also giving you a new direction to talk about the lore of Minecraft world and the mobs that we already know and maybe love, and finding out more about them. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like part of that Minecraft feel I'm talking about. You could call that for lore, but we want to have a little bit of a mystery going on around what's going on in Minecraft and so on. And that's how we work with it. So we are kind of like doing things in the different games where you can find hints of what's going on in another game. And especially our community, they are so good at kind of like trying to figure out what we want them to figure out and so on. Like, so we bring some secret messages and they try to decipher them all the time. And it's like,
I want to be clear, when we announced the game, I mentioned that Jens had a shirt on, which was a hint as to what Badger became today. None of us are wearing any sort of hints about future games, so just letting you know.
I've been very closely examining Magnus' t-shirt here, trying to figure it out. Take a freeze frame of that, everyone.
Yeah.
or don't. Yeah. All right, amazing. Magnus, Dennis, thank you so much for your time. It's been great just to talk about Minecraft Legends. When can we see more? When can we hear more?
Well, you can learn more by following us all our social channels, Twitter, so on. You can also at Minecraft.net follow up on a newsletter, so you will get that. Wow, that's loud.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something
exciting
happened. Yeah.
Minecraft Live. Minecraft Live.
Great, can't
we'll
wait.
come there and tell quite a bit more about the game. So.
Okay. More secrets to reveal.
More secrets to reveal.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, brilliant seeing you both. Welcome back to Gamescom.
Thanks.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a good one, gents.
It's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following all the news and updates on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I'm Damon Hatfield, and as always, I'm joined by Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox podcast, Podcast Unlocked.
Howdy, Damon.
Hello there. And Max Scoville, host of IGN's PlayStation podcast, Podcast Beyond.
Hello, hello.
And of course, last week we were looking at PlayStation and what PlayStation needs to do in 2023 to make it a great year for itself and its fans. So this week we're looking at Xbox. What does Xbox need to do to make 2023 a great year for Xbox and Xbox gamers? Ryan, let's kick things off. What do you think is the most important thing Xbox will need to do this year?
I mean, this sounds obvious, but it's so crucially important, and that's Starfield cannot miss. It has to just be an incredible game. Not a great game, not a good game. Like, it cannot be an 8 out of 10 video game. Starfield needs to be a 9 out of 10, or 10 out of 10, if we're so lucky, caliber game, like Skyrim was, like Oblivion was before it. So the studio pedigree from Todd Howard and the team is there. But it's got to be awesome. This is... I was racking my brain, Max, and to me, I know our commenters, our fans are probably going to start typing in the comments in a second, but I think this is Xbox's biggest exclusive new IP. So new thing. I'm going all the way back to Gears of War. That's how high up I think Starfield is. Because again, this is Todd Howard, Bethesda Game Studios. There have been plenty of other attempts. I mean, Crackdown kind of started strong and fizzled out over games 2 and 3. But you go back to Gears in 06 and like name me a bigger exclusive new IP from Microsoft since. I mean, their first party problems are well documented on this show and my own podcast Unlocked. But my point is Starfield is huge. It's got to be at that upper like 99th percentile of quality and of the critical reception, and it's got to be a home run for Microsoft. Otherwise, the rest of the lineup this year, there's good stuff. There's Redfall, there's Forza Motorsport, there's a whole list of other things that we're still expecting. But in terms of the exclusives, Starfield's the big one. Everything else is kind of the supporting cast. So it's just got to be amazing.
Yeah. And it also has actually come out, right?
Yeah, that too. I'm not worried about that. I mean, is it going to make it before June like we were promised last June? That remains to be seen. We have this developer direct coming up next week, which will not include Starfield. We're getting a separate Starfield direct at some point later. So, I mean, the release date is still up in the air, but I absolutely would bet $100 that it's coming out this year. I'm not worried about that part.
It's a tricky year because it's either competing with Tears of the Kingdom or whatever is happening this fall, probably Spider-Man,
right?
Which is assuming that's on track. And so it's kind of like the floor is lava a little bit. Where do you put this out so you're not competing with another massive game?
Because if this were Elder Scrolls 6, which is this team's next game, everything else would have to compete with it. But Starfield, yes, it's from a very decorated, incredible development team, but it is a new IP that doesn't have that 20 plus years of brand recognition and brand love attached to it the way that Elder Scrolls does, and those other ones like Diablo and Zelda and Street Fighter and Final Fantasy too. So yeah, there'll be some headwinds no matter what, but that's why the game's got yet another reason why the game's got to be amazing.
And on the PlayStation side, I think we expect Marvel's Spider-Man 2 to be the big game this fall. Do you think Starfield could be Xbox's big game this fall?
I hope not, because that would mean it got pushed a whole year instead of 6 months. But in fact, that was one of the next things I wanted to talk about was assuming it's not Starfield in Q4, that Starfield will be out sooner. I do think Xbox needs a heavy hitter for Q4. Not that you can really... I don't know if there's anything Microsoft has that can compete with Spider-Man 2 in terms of just the hype level and the again, brand recognition. Spider-Man himself, of course, is one of the biggest IPs on the planet, and Insomniac Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales are two of the best
not just superhero games, but just games, period, on the PlayStation. But yeah, Microsoft, they need a big Q4 game. If that ends up being Starfield, well, then I hope we're not starving the rest of the year ahead of that. But if indeed Starfield makes it out sooner, they've got to get something. I mean, maybe Hellblade 2 is, again, that's not a blockbuster IP the way that Spider-Man is, but Hellblade 2 is a game that I think could be at that really high pedigree of quality in terms of, it is the most, and I mean this in a complimentary way, the most Sony-like game that's currently announced from Microsoft. So, because we know it's almost certainly too early for Gears of War 6. There's Perfect Dark Fable are much further out. So I do think they're going to need something to get out there for their fans while Sony's fans or PlayStation players are having a ball with Spider-Man 2 in the fall.
Max, what do you think about the prospects of Spider-Man 2 going up against Hellblade 2?
I don't think Spider-Man has anything to worry about.
No.
Hellblade, great game. First one was very much like this is it felt like a extremely AAA indie game. It was.
It kind of was. Actually.
Yeah. It's there's some combat. It's not a total walking simulator, but you're poking around and you're exploring your feelings, and it's like mental illness and magic. It's kind of a bit cerebral for sort of the AAA space. Spider-Man swings around on webs, punches people in the face, fights the bad guys, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This is like extremely dark. Like it borders on horror. Like it's a very, very dark fantasy with, clearly a lot going on. And it's, I think, visually like a really amazing showcase, but
yeah, Unreal Engine 5 on this
for sure. Yeah. And I'm interested to see how much they build on the mechanics of the first one, because the first one was very, I wouldn't even call it cinematic so much as it was kind of narrow. It was very focused. It did what it set out to do, but it was sort of limited in scope, and it was a smaller game. And this is clearly playing with some massive scale, but this isn't the same as like a massive open world game or like a big sprawling RPG. This is clearly more about narrative first.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to even suggest that Hellblade 2 would compete with Spider-Man. And again, you're talking about one of the most well-known properties on the planet. That's a sequel to a beloved, incredible game. Although, again, like you said, Hellblade 1 was excellent. But I do think, it could be that kind of a big exclusive potential, just 9 out of 10, or if we're lucky, 10 out of 10 caliber game for Microsoft this fall to at least so Microsoft can say, hey, yeah, we've got a great exclusive this fall too. We're not, which we didn't have. Well, PlayStation got God of War this fall, Xbox got nothing. So yeah, we'll see. I hope we've got something for Q4, and hopefully it's not Starfield, because hopefully that game will already be out.
Okay, so providing Starfield arrives and is as great as we hope, Microsoft has something big in the fall to go up against Spider-Man 2. Ryan, what would you say is the third thing that Xbox needs to do this year?
Make at least one major new game announcement. I'm not talking about, with no disrespect to like Contraband, which is the full third-party partnership that we heard about a couple of years ago and haven't heard anything since. I'm talking about an announcement of a top shelf AAA, or even now we hear the term quadruple A thrown around, a top shelf level announcement. Could that be Gears 6? Maybe. I mean, I think that's sort of on the borderline of that level. I've loved the last couple of Gears games that the Coalition has done. Maybe it's id Software's next project. id Software, just to remind everybody, they have proven themselves over the last half decade, or even a little more, as one of the best first-person shooter developers on Earth. I mean, Doom Eternal, even the 2 expansion packs that they did for Doom Eternal were just incredible. And we're about due for a new announcement from them, because we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of Doom Eternal's release, and their tech, they've got their id tech that they already kind of brought forward to next gen when they did that update for Doom Eternal, the free update. So I feel like id could check that box of, and whether that's a Quake reimagining of Quake, similar to how they reimagined Doom,
and Wolfenstein.
Well, Wolfenstein, of course, that is an id IP that
farmed out to
Machine
Machine,
Games
yeah.
did. But yeah, whether it's Quake, whether it's something else, and the new id game could do that. Unfortunately, in light of today's news about the 10,000 layoffs at Microsoft, including from reporting from Jason Schreier that 343, it sounds like, was hit fairly hard. Because I was going to say, well, maybe a Halo spin-off project. The Blue Team, which are Master Chief's Spartan buddies, they played a sadly minimal role in Halo 5 and then were sort of teased in some of the audio logs in Halo Infinite. Like maybe there's another team that could work on a spin-off game with them, but they need something. They need some big announcement this year because they've shown their hand. Unlike Sony, right? Like Sony, we don't really know what the heck's going on with most of their studios because they haven't had to really. They've been able to ride the wave of Horizon and GT and God of War.
No, I think you're totally onto something. Obviously, Microsoft needs to announce something big because the last big showcase was like, here's what's coming out up until June 2023, and that's clock's ticking down for that. So presumably they're going to do something like that again in June and show what's coming in the next year or so. It'd be cool if something that gets shown off there, like it's not unheard of to have a massive game get revealed in June and then come out in the fall. I mean, that's what we got with Fallout 4.
Absolutely.
So it'd be cool to see that. Also, we've had Microsoft scoop up all these studios and all these things that we were already familiar with, which are now first-party properties. But Starfield was announced prior to that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of, Diablo 4. We knew that was coming long before Microsoft owned it. So it'd be kind of cool to see, something like a familiar IP that didn't used to be a Microsoft exclusive property suddenly getting a new installment, sort of really just, properly christening that acquisition and being like, here, we're making this, Microsoft Studios logo at the front, and it's, a logo. Maybe it's a trailer for Elder Scrolls 6. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Raven Software comes to mind as a very talented first-person shooter house. Like, I love Heretic and Hexen. They a modern version of that.
Any game where you could turn into a chicken, just give it to me. That's all I need.
Yeah, it's now that maybe Microsoft will liberate them from the working in the Call of Duty salt mines, which they've been doing for the last 10 years. There's a lot of talent there, but anyway, sorry, Damon. My point is,
no, it's good.
That we know about Fable, we know about Avowed, we know about Perfect Dark, but so we know a lot of what's coming because they had to show us because they had nothing, so they had to say, look, we're working on a bunch of stuff. Here's a bunch of announcements, but we need a big new exclusive announcement this year.
So we know that things are going to get more expensive. They already are getting more expensive. We've been told that Game Pass subscription costs will go up at some point. That sucks, but that's an inevitability. What Microsoft I think really needs to do is to continue a steady cadence of stuff coming out that reminds people why they should stay subscribed. And that, obviously that can't be a massive, huge AAA game every month, but I think treating it sort of like how other subscription services, Netflix, Prime Video, HBO, whatever, there's always like the kind of, there's the headlining acts, like there's the big stuff that keep people's attention. And more recently, like, High on Life wasn't the biggest game of last year, but it got a lot of people's attention, and it was on Game Pass, and that was, these games, they don't even have to be like Microsoft exclusives, but if there's a huge, sort of underdog, dark horse indie game that comes up that everyone's talking about, if it's free on Game Pass, that's huge. That justifies that subscription cost. So hopefully, just I want that kind of, I want it to feel like a magazine subscription. Like what's on the cover, like a new thing shows up every month. What is it? And
I like, as a former magazine guy, I like that analogy, but I think your streaming service analogy is even more apt because it's like, you have your favorite shows, like I'm waiting for the next season of The Witcher on Netflix, but in the meantime, there's always like, you're kind of like, oh, what show am I going to watch next? What new season is coming up? And they always try to have like something starting as something else is
exactly
ending, right?
And there's always there's stuff that maybe doesn't have the biggest marketing push behind it, especially if it's Netflix, but there are those things that do blow up out of nowhere. And those didn't get made by accident. Those got picked up for presumably because they're good, or because there was something special about them that people would hopefully latch onto. So hopefully more games like that. Honestly, to sort of point to streaming services, I would say don't do what HBO Max is doing, where there's a bunch of heavily publicized cancellations and delistings, and basically here are the things that are no longer on your streaming service. Oh, and by the way, it costs $1 more per month. If Microsoft can do like, hey, we've got bad news, this is going up $1 a month, but here's some stuff coming out of the next few months. That seems like a pretty good way to kind of soften the blow. A spoonful of sugar, if you will. Now let's see. E3's back this year. I don't know if Microsoft's going to show up. I don't know why they would. They bought a theater that's down the street. They can do their own thing over there. However, I think there's been a really wonderful sort of format for the showcases and the directs that we've gotten over the past few years, which has been a really nice balance of that kind of, that big, the pageantry of the reveal of the new trailer, of the thing that gets us all excited and hyped up, but also kind of like wonderfully measured informational bits also. And I really, really love the transparency last year of being like, hey, the games we're showing today are all coming out before June 2023, which is that's a pretty big window, but it sets expectations. It gives you an idea of what you're in for, and it's a bunch of those games still haven't come out yet, and things do get delayed. That's a reality, but I think having just keeping people's hopes and dreams kind of reined into a certain amount, and also there's it keeps you guessing about what's next, what's around the corner. So. More of that. And again,
Ryan, do you expect Microsoft to be a big participant in E3 this year?
Yeah, Phil Spencer has always been very much a public ally of E3, saying, I think it's important for us to be there, important for the industry. I mean, last year when there was no E3, Microsoft still basically just did their E3 press conference, whereas Sony did not. So yeah, I have no reason to think that Microsoft won't show up and yes, you're right, Max. They've got the Microsoft Theater next door, and those last couple years of E3, we would just walk outside the convention center and go see their games at the Microsoft Theater next door. I'm sure they'll probably still do that, but yeah, we'll get the big press conference, and whether they theme it as okay, here's the next 12 months again, or whether they keep it a little more open-ended or have some sort of different theme remains to be seen. But yeah, I fully expect Microsoft will be one of the loudest champions of the resurrected E3.
Mm-hmm. I hope the pomp of E3 is great and everything, but I also do kind of appreciate the more grounded approach, where instead of being like a car coming out on stage or Keanu Reeves, telling the audience they're breathtaking, it's more like, hey, we're sitting down with the developer, what's new in the game, and they show off the game for 10 minutes or something. And I think that having the virtual event really allowed for breathing room for that. And they do the thing where like, hey, we've got a 2-hour showcase followed by a 3-hour deeper dive showcase or whatever, and it's it's properly informational, and it's again, sizzle is good, steak is also good. I don't know what's in between those two, but sort of keep it in that area, I think. Final thing they need to do, I mentioned this. We've got all these sort of these studios that have been scooped up that are now first-party Microsoft IPs, properties, whatever you want to call them. I want to see more kind of brand synergy and cross-pollination of intellectual properties. Like we've had little bits of that here and there. Obviously we had the Pelican in Flight Simulator and the Warthog in Forza. I love that. I think that's wonderful. There's a Banjo-Kazooie figurehead for your ship in Sea of Thieves. Very cool. Now, more stuff like that from like Bethesda and Activision. Take like, Beloved, and it's the way you can kind of sort of flick the lights a little bit and be like, hey, yeah, this thing's on. We know you love this thing. Maybe we don't have a brand new game to show off, but here's a little tidbit. Like, I don't know, throw some Skyrim armor in Diablo 4. How about this? Announce dragons for Flight Simulator as an April Fool's and then make it real. Like, I think that is not the most out there thing you could do. It's completely stupid. And there's somebody there who's mad at me who owns like a full Flight Simulator rig, and they're like, dragons aren't real. Video games are sometimes not real also. It's just a fun thing. So, I don't know, more stuff like, you can have the Doom theme as a car horn in Forza. Whoever thought that was a good idea, they were correct. They should get promoted, and they should get put in charge of more silly stuff because, again, like, video games are fun. Let them be fun. Like, take these colorful characters and have them play together and just, remind us that this is all one big sort of Xbox family. And yeah,
The Microsoft Dragon Flight Simulator coming this April Fool's. I'm into it. I like it.
I would play that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
All right, there you have it. That is what Xbox needs to do to have a great 2023. We'll see if they take our advice In the meantime, let's check the results of our poll from last week when we were talking about PlayStation. We asked our audience, what is the single most important thing Sony needs to do this year? Perhaps unsurprisingly, the winner by a landslide is they need to announce new games, which was Max's number one suggestion. They've got Horizon Call of the Mountain coming up for the PSVR 2 launch. There's the Burning Shores expansion for Horizon Forbidden West coming out this spring. And we expect Spider-Man 2 in this fall. That's really about it for games that we know of that have any sort of a release window. So people are definitely looking to hear about what they can expect to play next on their PS5 console.
Well, Final Fantasy 15 and I guess 7 Rebirth.
Yes,
kicking
not
around
first
there.
party, but yeah, sure, yes, of course.
Then 16 we're up to, I think, right?
Sorry, 16.
yes. Sorry, it is 16. It's June. Coming in last place was that the notion that Sony needs to have a successful PSVR 2 launch. Our audience was not too worried about that. Max, does that tell us anything about PSVR 2's prospects of increasing the fairly low attach rate of the first PSVR?
We had a long conversation about this on Beyond this week. We actually weren't even planning to have that big of a talk, but it kind of spun out of control. And really, yeah, PSVR, like VR is kind of a hard sell on its own. It was kind of a hard sell when it was a new thing. It's not really a new thing anymore. It's sort of a known quantity. And I think the people who know what the quantity is, maybe it's not enough for them to throw $500 to $50 at it for their PlayStation, and just their PlayStation, not a thing you can plug into your PC and do other stuff in your spare time. So I don't know. That's almost a month away. That comes out on the 22nd. Feels kind of radio silent for that. It's a little bit eerie.
Gosh, you're right. I didn't realize it was that close already. My goodness.
And
I've got a pre-order, and I'm like, oh, it's a month away already?
Yeah, and I mean, there's this big stack of, launch titles announced, but there's not really like any roadmap after that. So, obviously, that seems like it's targeting a very niche audience, but it's not really going too far to get more people involved. I mean, even the small percentage of people who are paying attention, I feel like they don't have a lot to chew on. So, I don't know.
Still waiting on that Half-Life Alyx port.
Put it on there.
Let's go.
We'll be watching the launch of PSVR 2 with great interest. Here's a poll for you to vote on for next week. What does Xbox need to do to have a great 2023? Does it need to stick the landing with Starfield? Does it need to make sure it has something big this fall to go up against Spider-Man 2? Does it need to announce a new big IP, something brand new? Make sure to vote at IGN.com. We'll share the results with you next week. And that will do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Thank you to both Max and Ryan. Thank you to Jover and everyone working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. My name is Damon. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, with more PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news. We'll see you then.
Okay, man, it's going down, man. Woo. Microsoft Developer Direct. Let's see what they're gonna announce. Like they said, Xbox needs Starfield, man. They need it. They down right now. PlayStation is kicking ass right now, man. Yeah. Huh? What? Is it what? Press the home button on the tablet. Just press the home button. Yeah. Exit out. Just exit the screen. Just press X. Yeah. And then they gotta announce some good AAA titles, man. Like you see what they said, man. Xbox fans, y'all down right now, man. I'm a fan of both. Yeah, they can see me. Yeah, they can't see you. No. Why, you trying to get in? No. Good. Nah, it's gonna be done. It's a short direct. It's not long like the last one. That's why I streamed the pre-show and all that. Like 30 minutes maybe. Probably I'm gonna take a nap, then
gonna watch it? Okay, man. Xbox, man, y'all gotta do something. PlayStation kicking your ass. But shout out to Microsoft, man. I'm not a fan of just one. I have everything. Not a fan of one. I have everything. I love Xbox, but yeah, they haven't been coming through with the titles, man. Gonna lie, PlayStation been coming through with the titles. Let's see what they. Okay, come on. Let's see what we doing. Forza. Elder Scrolls logos. Not Elder Scrolls. Yeah, that Elder Scrolls. Yeah, Elder Scrolls logos. Yeah. OJ. Oh, check that. Kick it off. Okay, what we kicking off the new year with, man? Direct from the devs. Yeah, 4 big games, 5 big games. Okay. OJ. Okay. I used to be big. I used to be big on Minecraft, man. Like when it first dropped. I don't know. I'm not into it anymore.
So the first thing I do when everyone runs off, I open the map, see where the enemy base is. First thing I build is what we call an upgrade tower, where it's allowed to build upgrades to place that back away from the enemy. So I really pride myself in making, impenetrable bases.
Since the goal of PvP is to destroy opposing team base, defending your own base is really important. You have to start with a lot of walls, a lot of towers, and some gates. After that, you can add what you want, freestyle with it. I like to add different layers of walls, so my opponents have to find their way through it, almost like a maze. And then once those walls are up, I like to actually hide ice traps behind them to catch enemies off guard. When it comes time to finally take out the enemy, my favorite strategy is to make a sword just outside the enemy base. Then I get the biggest, strongest mobs I can fast enough to send it in. Then I can smash down the walls, take out the mobs, and claim the victory.
The real fun of PvP is creating strategy, having a game plan, deciding how you're going to crush the enemy, and then all of a sudden the boss is telling you, I can't do my attack now. I don't like an SC tower and an anti-air tower to stop that red zone. You just have to constantly change your tactics. And sometimes I have no idea what they're doing. And then you soon find out very quickly.
Coming April. Okay, this one coming soon. New Forza. Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. Forza games be looking beautiful. Look at the cars. Ooh, big block in that car, man. Okay, I'm definitely gonna. I'm getting this, but I know it's gonna be free with Game Pass, so yeah, definitely.
source using spectral photometer to capture multiple data points of light behavior on the surface. This yields a pink model that has much more consistent light response across color, metal, plate, and gloss. Damage and dirt buildup is unique to each car. It's now contextually aware and more local. We'll simulate pink-based chipping and directionality. Dirt accumulation is more realistic, gathering more low-pressure areas like recesses and alcoves. These innovations tell the story of the work you put into a race and reflect the march of battle. This is our best down at Forza Motorsport, and the first to be mixed native for first audio formats like Windows Sonic and Dolby Atmos. To create an immersive soundscape, each audio system has been rebuilt from the ground up to deliver a new level of sonic depth and authenticity for players. Modifying the car exhaust and turbo changed the car sound for its motion, just like it would real. Every car now has a wide sound processing based on hardware system combination uses how sounds interact with individual space, dynamically adapt to surroundings and create a realistic, detailed soundscape. Forza Motorsport like never before. Every tire seal, every engine, black. Forza Motorsport launches 20 environments built from the ground up. You'll get to race on iconic fan favorites, as well as 5 all-new motorsport locations, including our first in South Africa, Kyalami. We capture our environments to an incredible level of detail. When we reference traffic, our team comes back with over 3 terabytes of highly detailed photogrammetry and user scan. Through the power of Xbox Series consoles, we're able to use this data to draw up to 10 times more detail than previous generations. You'll see lush trees, dense grass and overgrown vegetation, animated track light, physics-based lighting, volumetric fog effects, and a fully procedural cloud system that evolved again. Tracks look alike, sound alike, and feel alike, with cutting-edge visuals and crowds consisting of tens of thousands of animated 3D spectators, so you're always immersed in pure spectacle racing. For the first time in Forza Motorsport, fully dynamic time-of-day with weather ensures a constantly evolving racing experience where no two laps ever look the same. Meanwhile, dynamic track temperatures, wet driving surfaces, and buffering in ensure that no two laps ever play the same. I love the detail talented team of artists built to Kyalami. Fast forward to night, and the vista is truly breathtaking. You can see the light below the city, beautiful detail. Even the Kyalami logo itself reads visually back every time you see it, thanks to ray tracing localization. It simulates how hundreds of thousands of light rays accumulate color as they bounce off the surface. We're rendering all our environments in 4K at 60 FPS with real-time ray tracing on track to create the light reflections on all mirror flat surfaces. The incredible detail and rendering features of our track environments, Forza Motorsport is truly a generational leap ahead with unmatched visual fidelity and authenticity. Forza Motorsport is back, and it's our most comprehensive game ever, with over 500 cars and 20 environments, with more race cars than ever before. You can experience all of this in our incredible new online racing mode and in our all-new car-building-focused single-player career. We cannot wait for you to get your hands on this incredible game.
No date. Redfall next. Tango, nah. Put the chair right there. The door just flying open. Appreciate it, bro. Don't lie, this game here look weak. I shouldn't even premiere this. Man, Xbox, what is y'all doing? This game look too weak, bro. Oh, I'm gonna play it. I mean, the game it don't look too good, but just the fact that it's available like today, yeah, I'm gonna check it out though. Yo, so this game it's coming out like within an hour, bro. And they just premiered it like just now at the event, and it's dropping like in an hour, bro, on Game Pass. You get to play it for free. So I'm gonna check it out. I thought this was coming out like probably like in April or something. They talking about it's available like tonight, dog. Like in an hour and a half. Where he peed? Where he peed at? Tell Kelsey. Probably outside. I don't know. Today, whew. Okay, yo, hey, this the one you got to see right here. This is Bethesda. This is so they need something to compete with. Cause PlayStation about to release Spider-Man 2. It's gonna have Peter, Miles, and Venom. Elder Scrolls. Oh, okay. A new Elder Scrolls online expansion. Damn. Four. Go. Go.
today, for a limited time, we're making all past chapters available to explore for any player. So everyone can test drive all of our adventures. Our take on Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, and much more. At Sauce, we have so many passionate and talented developers who continue to add to Elder Scrolls lore by using handcrafted, epic adventures, and I'm immensely proud to be a part of it. Believe me, we have tons more to share, and I can't wait for the team to show it all to you. Join us after this show for the 2023 ESO Global Reveal, where we'll go deep into all things Necron.
Oh.
Thanks. See you in the video.
Okay, here we go. Redfall. These? Got these too. Oh, okay. Redfall is open world. So is it like a survival game? Okay, it's like a survival game. It's got a silence on that bit.
To destroy it, you have to take out its heart, and all vampires will need to die to protect one that's consistent. We make the kinds of games we love to play. And that's how Redfall was born. We blended everything we love here in Arcane Odyssey. Immersive open worlds, unique and customizable heroes, RPG, and FPS gameplay. And of course, our signature storytelling and rich world building. Along with our spin on one of the most classic monsters of all time. Vampires. It's been amazing to see how all of us come together to deliver our vision of something new. Redfall is the biggest, most ambitious game we have ever made. Our team still first is the opportunity, and we can't wait for you to experience Redfall for yourself. Thankfully, we won't have to wait much longer. Redfall's coming on May 2nd.
Okay. Okay, May 2nd. Okay, Xbox exclusive. Okay. That was it. Dang, no Starfield? Come on. Bethesda.
What's happening, friends? Welcome to this live edition of Podcast
Xbox. Ugh. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, at first I was a little concerned there was a lot of people talking on camera, but I kind of got into a really good flow, and by the end of the presentation, I get it. This is their like presenting of the game. I think the Redfall one really dialed really doing it the first time, how that system works, how it works. There was a lot that I got into this all, but I really liked it. And you're gonna get other
he has a little bit of direct where they'll do more of those guys as college just how they can play with some of those experiences. Big thumbs up for the
All right, man, I'm signing off, man. I've seen enough. Yes, sir.